Hey, it's Vision Denial. Name's Sebastian. This is the road to MSI. I'm recording this as something happened to my computer. I'm going to be watching every playoff series, yes, even including that one before MSI starts, which is in May. Which is good because I'm falling way behind. There was a day that had 9 playoff series. It's a good thing some regions have way more than others. Let's get into this one. So, this playoff series follows a similar structure to the other one, best of threes. You have definitely one team that is way more cerebral than they are skill expressive, and the other one which is more skill expressive than cerebral. The difference is Impunity got the short end of the stick by taking on a team that has both a little bit of cerebral and skill expression, and Impunity tends to have less of the skill expression and more of the brain, and so they were outclassed. I wish there was a lot more to say, but unfortunately there isn't. Machi, if some of you read my stuff beforehand or watched Professional League of Legends, they were the first place seed for Worlds 2020. So they have like a history of like at least some good execution across the board. Their organization has been proven and tested. That being said, this is not as clean of a Machi, but like their playoff run, they probably will get better over time. And that's doesn't surprise me. Things that I like from Impunity. They're creative, but this is one of those moments where like I would definitely say don't approach pick ban like T1, because that's definitely what happened here. They have some interesting stuff. They picked game 1 literally Senna and 4 top laners. Cool. Didn't pan out. They have very weak understanding of their win conditions. That needs to be practiced on. They have not great vision. That needs to be practiced on. They have worse vision denial. Has to be practiced on. But they have very good early game neutral setups, and their skill expression seems to be pretty good in early game. So they have a lot going for them in the early game. It doesn't translate to the transition to the mid game, and to the mid game itself, to the transition to the late game, or into the late game itself. And that's rather unfortunate because, unfortunately, Machi definitely understands their win conditions better. Machi definitely has skill expressions that is more consistent throughout the game. Machi has better neutral objectives in the mid and late game. And they know how to answer your drafting with more cohesive compositions. So they definitely know how to approach a lot of the things that Impunity was bringing to them and more. And so it's unfortunate. That being said, I think you just got the short end of the stick here. If you were to play against J-Team, I bet you that you will have a better shot at it. And I bet you even that these two teams, that Impunity and J-Team will meet up at some point later down into the playoff series. Possibly. I think they will, but I don't know. That's really more of a guess to the wind. And so I would definitely think that like Impunity will make it further, as they have another best of 3 to play before they can even get close to best of 5s. We'll see. I don't know what the lower seeded teams have to offer. Sometimes you get really weird lower seeded teams that make it all the way through. Cough, cough. Machi. I did it again. I thought I learned my thing. No. Machi, on the other hand, is doing their same old shit. Difference being is that they're doing the same thing they did in their early game playoffs for 2020's World Championship, and starting off not so strong, but doing pretty good. And then they get better. They'll probably get better. From my experience, they tend to just get better over time. It's really good. They'll probably meet up against PSG later on down the line. Maybe win, maybe lose. Probably lose. Beat them in the rematch. Beat them in a rematch after that. They played 3 best of 5s against PSG. It was really entertaining. It was pretty good. Now, things that I want to see improved. I want to see Machi close games without Baron. This region seems to not know how to close or even progress the game without an objective. Like, without a neutral objective. Because, like, turrets exist. Those are objectives. Lane pressures exist. Those are things. But they aren't approaching the game that way. I would hope that they would approach the game that way, but none of them seem to. And it's really unfortunate because it's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of cool fights. Don't, like, the number of times I've written it in my little timestamp thing here that, what is this? There's like a gentleman's duel. I was like, Jimmy N and Atlan get away with murder. Like, the skill expression that Machi X show in this game is quite phenomenal. This is like this is a spectacle best of 3 to watch. Those who don't watch the series often, you could watch both of these games. You would technically have watched the whole series, and these are 2 games. They're closer along to the 35-minute mark for most of these. So, like, they still are a little lengthy, but they're still very good, solid games. I would highly recommend. It's a lot of fun. I would also recommend, like, approaching this with a grain of salt, as I don't think that Machi X, given the increased quality of performance across the board in all regions, and yes, I will admit all regions have technically increased in quality of board, that this type of play would not do so hot in international. There's a lot of sloppiness to it. There's a lot of mistakes. They are not as consistent with their macro, with their, like, map play, that I would think that Machi could get away with some of the nonsense that they did. And they're not solid at using their Baron. They're very inefficient with it. So that to me tells me that even the lower seeded regions, the tier 3s and 4 regions, could take games off of, like, a team like Machi. So I would definitely hold off any excitement from them until I see them improve further in. And hopefully I get to see Impunity, because Impunity has some interesting stuff going. Like, look at their logo. I mean, also look at their team compositions. They're exciting. They bring something new to the table. I would like to see more new stuff brought to the table with new approaches, like things that throw people off their game. It's really good to see that kind of stuff. We don't see it very often, unfortunately. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. And I'll see you in the next one, where I go back to China for Suning versus LNG. LNG? I do know that I've heard that team name before. LNG is literally just LNG Esports. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Ciao.